Hey, folks. Welcome back. And these are 27 Canadian laws that made visitors pause, reread, and go, wait, seriously.
Canada, the only place where you can get fined for swearing in French and apologizing too politely. 1. The No Loud Laughter Law. Quebec once had a municipal bylaw that restricted excessive noise, and locals discovered that apparently included laughing too loud. Imagine getting fined because your brunch mimosa giggle echoed off the cafe walls. Tourists visiting Montreal were shocked to see officers actually enforce it during summer festivals, where the entire point is laughing too loud while eating poutine. The official reason? Public tranquility. Translation: the government just wanted a nap. One poor bachelor party from Texas got a noise citation while singing Sweet Caroline in the street. Their defense? We were on key. The officer didn't agree. Only in Canada could happiness itself be considered a public disturbance. Somewhere, a moose probably filed the complaint. 2. The Don't Climb Trees Law, Oshawa, Ontario. In the city of Oshawa, there's an honest-to-goodness bylaw making it illegal to climb trees in public parks. Tourists found out the hard way when a kid from Michigan scaled a maple to take a selfie, only to be politely escorted down by officers with the world's most Canadian warning: please respect the tree's personal space. The bylaw dates back to the 1800s, when city leaders wanted to protect newly planted trees. But it's still on the books today, meaning if you channel your inner squirrel in Oshawa, you're technically a criminal. Imagine explaining to customs why you were detained. Attempted arbor ascent. Forget drugs or weapons. Apparently, bark is the real border threat. 3. The Don't Take Out the Trash Too Early Law. Victoria, BC on Vancouver Island, tourists renting Airbnbs learned that garbage etiquette is serious business. The city of Victoria forbids putting your trash bins out before 5 a.m. on pickup day. Violate it, and you risk a hefty fine, because God forbid a raccoon gets early access to leftovers. A group of visiting Australians once got ticketed for setting their bins out the night before, thinking they were being helpful. The neighbors reported them. That's right, snitched over punctual waste disposal. The rule's logic: trash attracts wildlife. The real lesson: don't underestimate Canadian commitment to orderly garbage. In a country famous for politeness, they draw the line at premature bin deployment. 4. The No Swearing in Public Law, Taber, Alberta. Welcome to Taber, the small Alberta town that decided freedom of speech ends where your F-bomb begins. In 2015, Taber introduced a bylaw banning swearing, yelling, or making offensive noises in public. That means if you stub your toe on a sidewalk or drop your Tim Hortons coffee, technically you've just broken the law. Tourists were stunned, especially one group of backpackers fined for muttering something colorful after losing a hockey bet. Locals defended it as maintaining community standards, but the internet quickly turned Taber into the nation's most accidentally hilarious police state. Officers later admitted they had no real plan for enforcement. Still, it remains a legal reminder that in Canada, even your bad mood has to say, sorry. The only safe exclamation left? Oh, fudge nuggets. As long as it's said politely. 5. The Don't Feed the Birds Law, Toronto, Ontario. In Toronto, tossing breadcrumbs to pigeons is treated like a criminal act. The city banned feeding birds in public spaces to curb avian overpopulation, which sounds like a Disney villain's backstory. Tourists at Nathan Phillips Square have been fined up to $365 for what they thought was an innocent childhood moment, sharing a snack with the local flock. Instead, they got a lecture about public sanitation and seed waste management. One elderly tourist from Scotland actually argued, "The Queen would never stand for this." The officer, without missing a beat, replied, "This isn't the Queen's Square. It's part of Toronto's battle to keep parks clean. But somehow, it feels like a metaphor for the city itself. Beautiful, efficient, and absolutely allergic to joy that involves breadcrumbs. 6. The Ice Cream on Sundays Law, Petrolia, Ontario. This one sounds fake, but it's real. In Petrolia, a small Ontario town, an ancient bylaw once banned yelling, shouting, whistling, or singing in public on Sundays. Somewhere along the line, it was interpreted as no ice cream on Sundays, and tourists believed it. Local legend says the rule was created to preserve Church Day peace, but by the 2000s, it became an inside joke. A group of summer tourists reportedly got scolded for eating loudly melting cones outside a park. One kid dropped his scoop, yelled "No!" and was told to quiet down. Imagine explaining to your friends you got shushed for enthusiastic dairy consumption. The town eventually clarified, yes, you can eat ice cream. No, you can't scream about it. In Petrolia, the Sabbath is sacred, and apparently so is indoor voice etiquette. 7. The keep your park clean, keen or else. Law. Jasper National Park, Alberta. Jasper's stunning wilderness comes with an equally stunning list of fines. The park's wildlife laws are so strict that one tourist was fined $2,000 for leaving an apple core on a trail. His defense? It's biodegradable. The ranger's response: so are you, sir. The rule exists to prevent bears and elk from associating humans with food, but most visitors learn this lesson only after a ticket. One German couple even got fined for posing with a deer holding out trail mix. It was like nature's version of don't feed the models. In Jasper, you can take all the selfies you want, but if you leave behind so much as a peanut shell, you're basically funding the park's next bear-proof trash can. It's the most expensive composting mistake you'll ever make. 8. The no snowball fights law. Surrey, British Columbia only. In Canada, could throwing snow be considered too dangerous? In Surrey, a bylaw technically forbids the projection of any object with intent to annoy, harm, or frighten. And yes, that includes snowballs. It dates back to the 1970s when kids were allegedly terrorizing downtown shoppers with ice-packed ammunition. The law is rarely enforced, but tourists still can't believe it exists in the land of eternal winter sports. One visiting family built a snow fort near City Hall and got a warning after a snow projectile hit a parked car. The officer told them with full sincerity, "Snow safety is serious business." Imagine outlawing your national pastime. Somewhere, a Mountie probably dreams of an underground snowball league. Because if there's one thing Canadians love more than rules, it's finding polite ways to break them. 9. The Don't Scare the Moose Law, Newfoundland and Labrador. In Newfoundland, it's actually illegal to harass, chase, or disturb moose. Sounds obvious, until you realize what counts as disturbing. One group of tourists found out when they stopped on the highway to take selfies with a moose grazing nearby. They didn't touch it, didn't yell, just posed. But the animal trotted away, and a passing wildlife officer decided that counted as harassment. The fine? $400. Apparently, the moose's emotional comfort takes legal priority over your Instagram content. The rule's origin makes sense. These 1,000-pound tanks on legs can flatten a car. But tourists argue the moose seemed more annoyed by the price of gas than their camera flashes. So if you visit Newfoundland, remember, admire the wildlife, but keep your distance. Because in Canada, even a moose can file a complaint about unwanted attention. 10. The Don't Paint Your House the Wrong Color. Law. Old Quebec City. Old Quebec is one of the most picturesque cities in North America because the government made it illegal to have bad taste. Homeowners in the UNESCO-protected district can't just paint their houses any color they want. Every shade, from the door frame to the shutters, has to be pre-approved by a heritage color committee. Tourists renting Airbnbs have joked it's like living inside a living museum curated by very picky grandparents. One visiting couple tried to repaint their balcony railing without permission and ended up with a $1,200 fine. The rule exists to preserve 17th century aesthetics, but it feels like Canada's politest version of "don't mess with the vibe." It's a city so historically accurate, even rebellious graffiti would probably have to go through a color consultation. 11. The Don't Pay in Pennies Law. Nationwide tourists love Canada's colorful money, but don't get too creative at the checkout. Under the Currency Act, you can't pay for more than $25 worth of goods using only coins. One American tourist, trying to make a viral video, attempted to pay his hotel bill with a bucket of loonies and toonies. The clerk refused, citing the law, and the man ended up spending the night in small claims court instead of a suite. The rule prevents chaos and counterfeiting, but it's also the reason Canadian cashiers have the right to reject your mountain of change. So, while it might sound funny to dump 2,500 nickels on a counter for laughs, remember, in Canada, legal tender comes with legal limits, and a janitor with zero patience for your performance art. 12. The No Plastic Bags Law. Prince Edward Island PEI holds the title of being the first province in Canada to ban plastic bags completely, and they mean it. Tourists unaware of the rule often find themselves awkwardly juggling snacks, sunscreen, and souvenirs out of a grocery store like confused circus performers. One visiting American complained online that the store wouldn't even sell me a bag. The clerk had offered a paper one for 25 cents, but apparently that was too much to bear. The goal is environmental protection, and it's working. PEI beaches are cleaner than ever. Still, travelers can't help but laugh when they're balancing a loaf of bread, a jar of jam, and a six-pack of soda like they're competing in the Canadian Grocery Olympics. Moral of the story: bring a tote, save the planet, save your dignity. 13. The Don't Park Your Reindeer Law, Sudbury, Ontario. Yes, this is real. Sudbury's municipal code specifically forbids parking, tethering, or leaving unattended any animal used for transportation on city streets. The law was written during the horse and buggy days, but it technically includes reindeer. Around Christmas, a group of prank-loving tourists rented a sleigh for a photo shoot and tied it up near a cafe. Moments later, an officer showed up, politely informing them their reindeer were illegally parked. The fine? $50 per hoof. The group paid, but the story went viral. The city later clarified the bylaw still stands, even for seasonal ungulates. Translation: Santa better keep the engine running. It's the most delightfully Canadian parking ticket ever issued, and proof that bureaucracy never takes a holiday. 14. The Don't Remove Band-Aids in Public Pools. Law, Vancouver, BC. You might laugh, but this one's actually posted on signs. Vancouver's pool regulations explicitly forbid removal of adhesive bandages or similar articles while swimming. The reasoning is clear: nobody wants your used Band-Aid floating by. But the enforcement stories are absurd. One tourist family from Florida got scolded mid-cannonball after their kid peeled off a bandage underwater. A lifeguard blew the whistle like it was a felony. The parents were stunned. You have a Band-Aid cop? Welcome to Canada, where even hygiene has bylaws. The fine isn't steep, but the humiliation is. There's nothing like being publicly shamed for improper wound dressing by someone in red swim trunks holding a clipboard. Truly, the most sterile rebellion possible. 15. The Don't Tie Balloons to Public Property Law, Halifax, Nova Scotia. In Halifax, it's illegal to tie balloons to lampposts, park benches, or any public fixture. The rule was created to prevent latex litter from drifting into the ocean, but it's become a hilarious culture shock for tourists hosting parties. One group celebrating a wedding on the boardwalk tied pink balloons to a railing, only to be fined $150 for unauthorized decoration. The newlyweds took it in stride, joking that their love was now officially regulated. Locals defend the law as eco-friendly, but visitors can't help but find it peak Canada: polite, environmentally conscious, and wildly over-prepared for joy. So, if you're planning a celebration in Halifax, keep your balloons indoors, because here, even helium needs a permit. 16. The No Crossing the Street Too Slowly Law, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. If you think jaywalking is bad, wait until you meet its passive-aggressive cousin, jay-strolling. In Saskatoon, city bylaws technically allow officers to fine pedestrians for crossing the street too slowly or impeding the flow of traffic. A tourist from New Zealand once got stopped after leisurely filming himself mid-crosswalk during a snowstorm, because apparently art isn't an excuse for inefficient walking. The fine can reach $125, and no, there's no speed minimum posted. Locals joke that it's Canada's way of saying, "Sorry, but hurry up." The rule dates back to when the city tried to modernize downtown traffic patterns, but now it just punishes distracted phone users and selfie takers. Moral of the story: in Saskatoon, if you want that perfect snow walk TikTok, move briskly, or the Mountie might time you with a stopwatch. 17. The No Playing Loud Music from Cars Law, Calgary, Alberta. In Calgary, blasting your car stereo can earn you a ticket faster than speeding. The city's noise bylaw caps vehicle music at 96 decibels, roughly the volume of a vacuum cleaner. A visiting tourist caravan from Vancouver discovered this after a police officer pulled them over for bass disturbance while playing Nickelback at full blast. Their defense: "We thought it was national pride." Didn't help. The fine? $250. The law was meant to reduce nighttime noise complaints, but it's turned into a running joke. Calgary, where your subwoofer is a criminal. Locals even warn newcomers with a wink. Keep it under concert level. So if you roll through Alberta hoping to DJ your road trip, better trade your playlist for silence or risk being the first person ever charged with excessive enthusiasm for 90s rock. 18. The don't water your lawn on the wrong day law. Winnipeg, Manitoba. In Winnipeg, watering your lawn is practically a military operation. The city divides neighborhoods into even and odd zones, and you're only allowed to water on days matching your house number. Tourists renting Airbnbs in the summer often get caught off guard when they turn on a hose, and a bylaw officer materializes like a sprinkler fairy with a clipboard. One poor family from Oregon watered the lawn on July 13th, but their house number ended in 4. The fine? $200 and a stern pamphlet about water conservation. Locals swear they can hear the sigh of every homeowner double-checking the calendar before watering. It's efficiency disguised as insanity, and the perfect example of how Canada can make environmentalism feel like a Sudoku puzzle. 19. The don't bring your ferret to the park law. Edmonton, Alberta. Edmonton's pet bylaws read like a Dr. Seuss book written by lawyers. Dogs? Fine. Cats? Maybe. Ferrets? Absolutely not. It's illegal to bring ferrets, weasels, or any non-traditional pets into public parks. Tourists with exotic companions find this out the hard way, like one woman from British Columbia who brought her leashed ferret Sprinkles to a picnic. Within 10 minutes, a bylaw officer politely explained that Sprinkles was an outlaw. The reasoning? Aggressive tendencies and potential for escape. Locals found it hilarious, dubbing her the ferret fugitive. The fine isn't huge, but the embarrassment is priceless. Only in Canada could a fuzzy, tube-shaped mammal become a public menace. Lesson learned. In Edmonton, stick to dogs or risk having your pet compared to an escape artist from Prison Break. 20. The don't take rocks from the beach law. Tofino, British Columbia. Tofino's beaches are breathtaking and apparently protected by geological security. Tourists are often shocked to learn it's illegal to remove rocks, sand, or driftwood from the area. The idea is to preserve the natural shoreline, but try explaining that to a kid clutching a souvenir pebble like it's treasure. One visiting Californian couple was stopped at the ferry terminal after bragging online about their Tofino rock collection. Park officials tracked them down and fined them $500 for unauthorized natural removal. Locals applauded. The tourists apologized, promising to return the stones. They actually mailed them back in bubble wrap, because in Canada, even your contraband gets politely returned to nature. It's eco-protection with a side of pure maple-flavored irony. 21. The No Painting Rocks Law. Banff National Park, Alberta. In Banff, tourists love to paint inspirational messages on small stones. Be kind. You got this, eh? And leave them on trails. Sweet idea, right? Except it's technically illegal. The park treats painted rocks as foreign materials, punishable by a fine of up to $25,000. One unsuspecting family from Texas started a Kindness Rocks scavenger hunt, only to be met by a ranger who explained that even positive energy needs a permit. Locals now joke that spreading kindness is the new black market trade. The park's goal is to keep nature pristine, but the optics are hilariously Canadian, a nation so polite it finds someone for being too encouraging. If you visit Banff, bring your paintbrush. Just don't let it touch a single rock, or your good vibes might cost you a small fortune. 22. The No Flying Drones Near Beavers. Law. Ottawa, Ontario. Yes, Canada has a law about drone harassment. And yes, it includes beavers. In Ottawa's conservation areas, flying a drone within 30 meters of wildlife is considered disturbance of habitat. It sounds fair until you realize one unlucky YouTuber was fined $1,200 because a beaver swam into his shot mid-filming. He wasn't chasing it. The beaver chased him. Park rangers reviewed the footage and ruled he failed to maintain respectful distance. The man's defense, the beaver photobombed me, didn't hold up. Canadians took it in stride, joking that even national symbols demand airspace privacy. It's the kind of law only Canada could invent, the world's politest no-fly zone, enforced by people who genuinely believe a rodent's personal bubble is sacred. So if you're visiting, remember, respect the beaver. It's basically their Beyoncé. 23. The no-taking photos in the ice caves law. Whistler, British Columbia tourists dream of snapping selfies in Whistler's turquoise ice caves until they learn it's illegal to enter them without a permit. The caves are stunning, fragile, and apparently allergic to Instagram. After a series of viral videos in 2019, the government banned casual entry for safety reasons. Still, every winter, thrill-seekers sneak in for just one quick photo and end up getting fined or rescued by helicopter. One group of influencers even left a tripod behind, frozen into the glacier like a modern art piece titled A Hubris in HD. Rangers now patrol the area to stop selfie expeditions before they start. The irony? It's not just about safety, it's about preserving the ice for scientists. Canada's the only country where taking a selfie can trigger both a fine and a lecture on climate ethics. 24. The Don't Build a Snowman Taller Than 6 Feet Law. Calgary, Alberta. You'd think snowmen are sacred in Canada. And they are, but only up to regulation height. Calgary's municipal code forbids building structures of snow taller than 6 feet in public areas. The reasoning? Liability. Apparently, a collapsing snowman once flattened a parked car, and now the city treats Frosty like an unlicensed construction worker. One ambitious family of tourists learned this when their 9-foot masterpiece, complete with a hockey stick and scarf, got demolished by bylaw officers. The city even left a note, exceeded structural limits. Locals laughed for weeks. Only in Canada could civic bureaucracy extend to frozen art. The moral? Keep your snowmen short, polite, and non-threatening. Otherwise, you might just get charged with first-degree overachievement. 25. The no-wearing t-shirts in court law. Prince George, British Columbia. In Prince George, there's a strict dress code for entering court. No hats, no tank tops, and absolutely no t-shirts with slogans. One confused tourist showed up to contest a parking ticket wearing a shirt that said, "Keep calm and blame Canada." The judge was not amused. He was asked to either buy a collared shirt or reschedule his hearing. The man later told reporters, "I didn't know sarcasm was illegal." The rule isn't just about formality, it's about respecting the dignity of the court. Still, locals joke that in Canada your outfit might get judged faster than your case. So if you ever face the law here, dress like you're apologizing to your grandmother, because legally speaking, you kind of are. 26. The No Singing in Public After Midnight Law, St. John's, Newfoundland. This one feels like a plot from a musical that went horribly wrong. In St. John's, a noise ordinance technically prohibits singing loudly in public after midnight. The law dates back to the 1950s, when rowdy sailors kept locals awake with sea shanties. Today, it's rarely enforced, unless you're unlucky enough to serenade the streets after the bars close. One group of Irish tourists got a warning for belting out Danny Boy at 12:03 a.m. The officer's exact words, "Beautiful voices, wrong time." They were let off with a smile and a story for life. It's the most Canadian version of law enforcement imaginable, enforcing peace and quiet, but complimenting your pitch while doing it. Somewhere, the ghost of a sailor is humming softly in protest. 27. The Don't Take Maple Syrup Across the Border Law, Quebec. Yes, maple syrup smuggling is real and illegal. Quebec produces over 70% of the world's syrup, and it's regulated like liquid gold. Tourists who try to take bulk syrup across provincial or international borders without declaration can face seizure or fines. One American couple learned this after trying to bring home a few bottles from a Quebec farmer's market. Border agents confiscated everything and warned them they'd technically committed syrup trafficking. The rule exists to protect trade quotas and prevent counterfeit syrup. Yes, that's a thing. Canadians treat it seriously. There's even been an infamous Great Maple Syrup heist. The moral? Enjoy it on your pancakes, not in your suitcase. Because in Canada, you can steal hearts, but not breakfast condiments, and there you have it. Proof that in Canada, even politeness has paperwork. From forbidden snowmen to moose privacy laws, these rules make one thing clear. No country enforces common sense more uncommonly. Which one made you laugh the hardest? Or better yet, which one would you accidentally break first? Tell me below. Just don't say it too loud. It might be illegal.